All right, welcome back into another episode of Indiebnb. Today, I am joined by Jeremy, the owner of the Flicker Theater in Athens, Georgia. Jeremy, how are we on this Georgia evening?
Oh, it's doing great. Feel like a storm might be rolling in. I'm out on my back porch, so we'll see what happens.
All right, we'll get a little afternoon rain as we always get
Yeah,
around here. So
a little atmosphere, a little aesthetic. It'll be nice.
I love it. I love it. Well, obviously a lot of history in Athens, the music scene. Want to just understand for you, like how long have you owned the theater? When did you want to get into it? Give me the background.
Well, Flickr's been around since 2000. It opened, and I bought it in 2007. So I've owned it since then. That's 18 years that I've owned it. I was in the video store business. I was not, I managed a video store in downtown Athens forever, and I was kind of saving up money on the side to try to buy the video store because, I was really into movies and stuff. And then by the time I had any money whatsoever, it was fairly obvious I shouldn't buy a video store. So my friend Angie, she owned the Flickr, and she wanted to get out of it because I don't think that she enjoyed running a bar, because it's different, And so we had a discussion with her, and me and a friend of mine, we bought her out, and that's the story. I've owned it ever since, and I've sort of had to learn along the way because all my experience was retail. I had never owned a bar. I enjoyed going to Flickr, but I'd never owned that sort of business. Certainly never owned a venue. So yeah, so it's been a learning curve, and I think a few more years I might actually get the hang of it.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, we're 18 years in. I'm sure that the business changes all the time. So it's you got to be reflective of that. With you getting into this venue, right? You were hanging out there a lot. Like, what were some of the
Mhm.
things that you liked about going there before you even bought it?
Well, I liked that it was and still is sort of an everything venue. Like there isn't really anything we won't try, at least, and it's just sort of a place for artists to do whatever it is they come up with. And, over many years, it's always amazed me how many different ideas people come up with. And so I'm really happy to be able to keep the place going and keep it alive because I think it's so important to have a place like that, where people can try whatever they come up with because, yeah. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking at this kind of the upcomings and different things that are coming up soon, and like I noticed that there's a karaoke that is reoccurring.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like, how often, like, how did you get into, maybe hosting that night, and like, what's that night compared to business wise compared to a concert night, like, you know.
Well, the karaoke, there was a bar called the Go Bar that
Mhm.
was around forever, and they had karaoke every Wednesday. And then they closed a little before COVID. They wanted to do something else, so we took over the karaoke. The guy moved to Flickr, and we just have karaoke every Wednesday, and it kind of worked out because I like to show movies still. My original thought was Flickr was to be a sort of a movie theater, cult movie theater, but it wants to be a venue, so it's always going to be a venue. So it was really good with karaoke. I get to have movies every Wednesdays at 7 and lead right into the karaoke at 9. It's I guess we've done that for about 5 years now, maybe,
Wow,
and
let's go.
yeah, it's really worked out, and we love having karaoke and movies.
What movies are you like? You mentioned some cult movies. So like, what are some of that? You worked in a video store, so obviously you've probably seen a lot of movies. So like,
Yeah.
what are some of your favorite flicks that you like to show?
Well, we're going to show Phantom of the Paradise in a few weeks, which we're really excited about. Athens Film Festival did this thing on Instagram where they had if a bar was a movie, and people voted like what movie best represented each bar, and people voted for Phantom of the Paradise for Flickr. So I was like, well, I guess I got to show it so people
Yeah.
know what that's all about. So, but mostly we have a few different people who show stuff there. We have a Japanese movie night every month, and giallo, sort of Italian stabby films, and then Three Star Cinemas, just kind of whatever. is most insane, and we just tend to show stuff that nobody's ever really heard of, but people will like if they actually gave it a chance. Because
I
there's
love
lots
it.
of amazing movies out there that nobody's ever heard of, and that's about it. We're not trying to show Disney films or pack the place out and get
I
everything.
got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, like, I mean, it seems like you're just you want to be a conduit for, kind of art that, may not be, may not be the mainstream, but, still deserves a platform and a presence. So it seems like you're fulfilling that role really well in Athens.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
I
Definitely.
love it. I love it. Well, let's talk kind of transition from the your karaoke to, but I noticed the bands and the booking and like what goes into that process for you. Like, are you involved? Are you not involved? Are you like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, we have a couple of booking agents that do all the booking. I've been in Athens going on 30 years next year, so I've got a lot of people I've known for many years. So I'll book, maybe two shows a month, but mostly it goes through the booking agents, and they've been with us for a good while, at least 6 or 7 years, and yeah, and it's just Flickr or Flickr booking at gmail.com, and anybody can submit, and we'll try to put a bill together.
I love that. Love that coming right out. A lot of bands listen to this podcast. People want to come through Athens, so I love that we got a place that you send it over. We'll see if we can work it out. Love it.
Yeah, we got a lot of touring acts, a lot of locals, a lot of Atlanta bands coming back and forth. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, for you, like, I love kind of getting into the business side. So if you don't mind, we might not talk numbers or anything like that, but like, I want to understand the challenges. Like, for obviously it's a bar, so there's a lot of insurance and different things that come into that. But like,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you, top five things that that keep you up at night, I guess, with when running the Flickr Theater.
I mean, insurance, that's a big one. Like our
Yeah,
insurance doubled last year, and it gets harder. A lot of insurance companies won't even bother. Like it's gotten tougher and tougher. I mean, yeah, that keeps me up at night, especially in December.
yeah,
And just, I mean, obviously rent just keeps going up downtown. It gets harder and harder to exist downtown, but we've got a good landlord, and you know, he's happy to have tenants that have been there so long and are, pay our rent and don't ask for too much.
I love it. I love it.
You know. And other than that, I don't have too many other challenges past that. I never have to worry that the scene is going to die or anything.
Yeah,
I've never found that. I'm into sort of my third generation of people coming through Athens, and you know, and there always seems to be a whole bunch of really creative people doing really creative things every year. It's good. It's a college town, so that helps too.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
With some of those things that like obviously revenue drivers for you, probably concerts, the booze just in a general, like
Yeah.
how do you leverage all that? Like, how do you kind of help that stuff? Like how do you coordinate it? Like, who have you been working with the same alcohol rep for forever? Like, what's the that part of it for you?
Well, yeah, we don't. We get all our money from alcohol sales, or we have a lot of non-alcoholic stuff too. We have a big non-alcoholic menu and CBD Delta 9 stuff. We got a lot of that now too. And yeah, but the bands, we try to let the bands have all the money they can. There's we have door people and production, and that's it. We don't take any of their merch money. Same with the art. We have new art every month, and we don't take any money off that either. So, yeah, we get all our money off bar sales and hot pockets. That's the only food we sell is hot pockets.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Someday I'll be a hot pocket millionaire.
Dude, I think you gotta call him. You gotta get him a sponsorship. Like they need to send you some microwaves or something. Like
That is
get
a great
you,
idea. I should get a
you
hot
know,
pocket sponsorship.
yeah. With like, I guess running a venue, like you mentioned like a couple different things that go into that. Like, when you book a show, do you do you have to kind of like transition and have different, like let's say we have a metal show coming, like are you expecting a, hey, like maybe we need to, bookend a few more security people, or like are there crowds you have to prepare for a little bit more or less, or like you just guys are like, hey, like we're just gonna be consistent no matter what?
Yeah, not really. I mean, everybody's pretty chill. We have extra people on like festival nights, like at fest, stuff like that. The rumpus, you never know. People getting drunk in the streets, then it's kind of out of our hands, so we have to protect ourselves. Mostly, we rarely have any problems. Knock on wood, that requires that. Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of metal shows, but I guess metalheads have a reputation, but they're just the sweetest people. They
Agree.
really are.
You
I
know,
work
it's
lots
funny,
of
like,
metal shows, and they're all so
yeah,
polite and kind and
yeah.
great.
It's like it's like the classic. You can't judge a book by its cover. Because like I
Yeah,
go to a lot of shows, and
totally.
like, yeah, I went to one recently, the Masquerade, and I'm like, man, like I tell you what, I'm not gonna walk down there, but I bet if I bumped into any of them, they would be like, oh, sorry, like excuse me. It's like a, a
Totally.
much different crowd than you think.
I mean,
Based
the pit is clearly defined. So if you're out of the pit, everyone's pretty nice. You get into the pit, you know,
you're in the
you were
pit.
warned. You're in the pit. You deal with it.
I love it. I love it. Well, some of the acts, like obviously the Athens scene, so historic and everything. Like since 2007, when you guys took over, like what are some of the things that some of the nights that stand out to you that you can like close your eyes and you're back there?
We had a great one of our first shows after we took over was the Glands had a secret show at Flickr that was really amazing, and I loved the Glands so much and missed them terribly. And so that was a great show. Um, I don't think of other things that come to mind. We had a really interesting night several years ago where a documentary came through, and it was about cowboys in Atlanta, like urban cowboys or something. And so they showed the documentary, and all these guys showed up with horses, and they rode through the streets of Athens, and they tied up their horses outside of Flickr, just like it was a saloon, and all came in to watch the movie. And I got pictures of that and was just like, that is amazing. Just a bunch of horses tied up outside of Flickr. That always comes to mind. It was an amazing visual and a fun night. Uh, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we've had so many good shows all the time, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. With you, like, obviously things like that. I love the kind of the diversity within, what you guys are doing there. Like, how much of how much transition and production like has to go into like a movie night versus like a metal show night versus those different things? Like, is there a lot that has to happen on the inside?
Yeah, I pretty much reset the room every morning, depending on what's happening that night. And that's why I like to try to keep my movie nights and my karaoke nights on the same night because they're the same setup. All I got to do is lift the screen and movie becomes karaoke. Because, yeah, we used to do this thing every Halloween. We would show a horror movie every night at 7.
Hmm.
So every night I had to be there and I had to get rid of all the chairs before the bands loaded in, and bands were constantly loading in while we were watching the movie, and it was such a nightmare. And I was just like, I can't do this every year. I need something that's easy. I can get my chairs in and get them out quick, and because
Interesting.
yeah. So I've got it down to a science now, hopefully.
Got it.
But yeah,
Very cool. Very cool. Within like owning something like, that's kind of historic, like, do you have like do you feel like you have like kind of a responsibility to make sure like you maintain kind of the decor and you maintain the different things, you don't change too much inside? Like, has there been any renovation since you've taken over?
we made a bigger stage several years ago. It used to be a really low to the ground stage, and we had a PA and a tiny mixing board, so everybody would mix their own shows. And so we done a lot since then. As far as we built a new stage, we added a huge PA and added lights and sound booth and all kinds of stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty much the same old building, the same old room. I like to hang up all the stupid shit I find, but that's just me to keep it interesting.
Yeah. What are the was it originally like when it was opened in 2000, was it originally a movie theater and like it just kind of was a one room theater, or like what was the setup
Yeah,
prior?
pretty much. Angie's idea was, well, see, Flickr started out as a movie night at the 40 Watt.
Okay.
So it was like, I don't know, like 4 times a year, Flickr would they would do like a silent movie with a full orchestra. The Flickr orchestra would play the music, and they'd watch a silent movie. And then, so it was like that for several years. And then Angie decided to open Flickr as its own bar, and she would show lots of movies, kind of the same thing, but lots of old movies. Like if you come to Flickr, there's all these flyers up on the wall of all the movies that Angie showed up there, and yeah. But by the time I had bought it, it had sort of turned into a small venue with
Hmm.
occasional movies, which is what it is now. We have about one movie a week,
Yeah.
and then 4 or 5 shows a week.
Trying to see if there that faint smell of popcorn was still in there, like if there was like an old theater, like.
Well, we have free popcorn, so it always smells like popcorn.
There we
So,
go. Let's go. Free popcorn. I
yeah,
mean, who's not heading over there? Like,
I know.
I'm saying. Well, talk to me about like marketing promotion. Like, I know like obviously I talk with a lot of bands and like social media is so important. How have you kind of, obviously 2007 it wasn't as important, but now like it
Oh
is
yeah.
pretty important. So like, how have you kind of progressed the way that you promote, right? Like what has been that like look from 2007 to now?
That's a never-ending journey that I have not really quite figured out yet.
Yeah.
I share everything the band gives me on Instagram and Facebook too through that. That's kind of about it, except for flyers and being in the paper, the flagpole and stuff. I probably need a marketing staff or something, but unfortunately that's me. And what you see is what you get.
What about an '07? Like what were y'all was it mainly flyers and different things like that? Really?
Flyers and flagpole. That was it in '07, and it was a lot simpler. I don't know. I'm supposed to. My wife tells me I'm supposed to be making like videos where I don't know what I'm
Me
supposed to do
too.
with my videos. So if you see any stupid videos with me in it in the future, that's my wife making me do that. So
Hey, look, any way you can, but I mean, it sounds like
yeah,
with you mentioned generations that come through. Like, do you meet like kids of people like maybe in '07 when you were going there? Like, do you meet kids of those people and you're like, oh, you're Jimmy's kid. You look just like him. Like, it's like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a never-ending cycle. Yeah, I mean, heck, my daughter was born the month before we bought Flickr, and she's 18 now, about to go off to college. It's crazy. I know how long I've owned Flickr just by her age.
man, you basically had two babies at once. Like, right as soon as you had one, and you had a human one, then you had a business one.
Yeah, yeah, she was in all the meetings with the lawyers and all that stuff, like just a little baby. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, to be honest.
What
Yeah.
like when you were working at the video store, like obviously I grew up in the era of we would go Friday night to Blockbuster to get the movie, and then we're ordering the pizza on the way back home, all that stuff. Like for you, like when did you see that kind of like ending, like for like
Well, my video store closed in 2012, and I'd say the last like 3 or 4 years were pretty rough, and I could
yeah,
kind of tell it was going out, which was sad because Vision Video wasn't really like a blockbuster kind of
yeah,
vibe. It was very much like a club vibe. People would show up and everybody knew each other, and they just talk about movies in the aisles and everything. And it was a very fun vibe. It was a downtown college town video store. But
yeah,
yeah, by 2012, it was obvious it was going down.
yeah.
uh, yeah, so probably about 3 years. And
Gotcha.
I own a ton of DVDs, so I've often thought that maybe I could rent DVDs at Flickr. The more the streaming wars heat up, then maybe maybe I should do that.
It's funny. I've started to buy vinyl like
Hmm.
because I fear that one day, like, look, I love Spotify. I know there's a lot of different opinions on it, but like, and I've discovered a ton of stuff on it, and I am appreciative of that. But like, I feel like it could go away at some point, right? Like, because of all the stuff that it does. So I'm like, I gotta have something like a backup plan of like,
Yeah,
all right, all this
anything's
stuff that I'm
possible.
listening to now, like, I gotta, get going. So I'm sure. How many DVDs do you have? Like, what's the collection?
I don't know. Probably close to 200, somewhere in there. I probably have to get more to start renting more videos, but
You need to get multiples. I love it. I love it. Well, awesome, Jeremy. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of that, the history
sure.
and the different things there. I think like that's so important to kind of preserve just, again, like there's probably somebody here in Athens who's listened to this and is like, hey, like now I understand a little bit more about, the why. Like, and that's
Yeah.
the reason for this. Yeah, it's a curiosity of anything.
Well, I hope so. I would love it.
Let me tell you, I want to get you into the Pete Peterson party pack of questions. It's 20 questions right in a row.
Okay.
It's going to be rapid fire, so we'll get into it here. But Pete Peterson's party pack questions. Jeremy, are we ready? Here we go. Cake or pie?
A pie.
He's pieing it up. All right. Salad or soup?
Salad.
All right. Let's go. All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of?
Which one?
Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of? He's an early riser. Let's go. All right. Sportstown by default, home run or touchdown. Would you rather? Would you rather home run or score a touchdown?
A touchdown. My bartenders will kill me. They're all baseball freaks, but yeah, touchdown.
I love that. I love that. Night in or night out? What are you having more of?
Night in at this point. Yeah.
When you do go out though, and your jam comes on, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm?
Oh God, robot.
I love it. I love it. All right, guac or queso at your favorite Tex-Mex spot?
Guac. A million.
It up. I love it. I love it. All right, waffles or pancakes?
Man, that is hard. Pancakes.
Pancakes. All right. Coffee or tea with your pancakes?
Coffee.
Okay.
All right. I live on coffee.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Catting it up. All right. Are you more identified with like a ninja or a pirate?
A very lazy pirate.
Lazy pirate. I love it.
Could never pass as a ninja.
Gatorade or Powerade?
Oh. Gatorade.
Gatorade. All right. Toast or bagels?
Oh, I can't eat bagels. Gotta go toast.
Gotta go toast. I love it. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Pretzels.
All right. Fries or tots?
Fries.
All right. After a long day, I think I know the answer to this one, but what are you going to unwind with? A TV show or a movie?
Well, I'm going to want to watch a movie, and my wife's going to talk me into a TV show.
Unfortunate, but you lose the battle every night. It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough out here. All right. Are aliens real?
Are aliens real? From our perception, no.
Okay. All right. Is Bigfoot real?
Sure.
All right. Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
All right. There we go. All right. Final question of Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. You guys book a lot of bands. You probably have some favorites. Who are 2 bands that we ought to check out that we might not know? You can use the ones you've mentioned already.
Oh, from Athens?
Or from anywhere.
Oh, from anywhere? Well, I should stick to Athens or I'll get in trouble. Your Ex's Pets in town. I like them a lot. And I got to give props to Shade Beast, Dead Vibes Ensemble. Shade Beast books a bunch of metal shows with us, and I love them dearly. And Dead Vibes are incredible. And bring earplugs.
I love it. I love it. Hey, earplugs or earplugs provided at the venue. Let them know.
Yes, we have earplugs.
Earplugs are there. All right. If you forget them, they got you covered. I love it. Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you taking the time this evening to give us a little history on the Flicker Theater. I am going to be in Athens for a show in October, so I will need to come by and see you. So I'll definitely come by the theater and get the context.
In person. Yeah.
Awesome, Jeremy. Well, take care, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.